Yeah, welcome in, welcome back, welcome in, welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast and our second ever live episode. So thanks for joining us. Really appreciate that. Real quick, want to say if you're here and on YouTube and you haven't already, please go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. Make sure that you're kept aware of whenever new content drops on the channel. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, open up your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast, and we should come right up. Really appreciate if you're enjoying the content. If you give us that thumbs up, that 5-star review, and leave us a comment. All that stuff helps us grow, helps us rise in the algorithm, helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. So we got a pretty interesting show for you here today. And as you can see, I have a guest with me. I got my guy Tony from the Hoopstorians NBA History Podcast. What's going on, Tony?
Not much, man. Chilling. How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Definitely looking forward to getting into some good basketball conversation here tonight.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we did kind of a home and home. You were on mine last night. Now I'm on yours.
Yeah, absolutely, and I definitely enjoyed that. It was a good flavor, and now you're here with me, and so yeah, let's make it happen. So first topic we're gonna get to. We are going to go ahead and discuss something real interesting, and that's what else, right? We always find a way to work in LeBron James when we are talking about NBA basketball, and you got to, right? Because he's one of the most polarizing guys in the game. He's one of the best players of all time, or correction, he's had one of the greatest careers of all time. I'm not going to say he's one of the best of all time. A lot of people know my feelings on that, but regardless, incredible career, and so we got to talk about him, and we're going to talk about him through the lens of, obviously, whenever he comes up, you have the Michael Jordan, LeBron James debate, who's the GOAT, blah, blah, blah. Now, for me, and I've said this over and over again, I don't even see LeBron James as a top 5 player all time. So that GOAT debate is non-existent in my estimation. However, we got to talk about it. Most people have him at number 2, and that's fine. And so when I talk about Michael Jordan being the GOAT, and I don't think it's a discussion, I really, truly believe that the separation between Michael Jordan and LeBron is like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's miles apart from where we see the separation from LeBron and anyone else, or anyone else and anyone else. So that's my opinion, but we could talk about that. So anyway, what normally happens is, I get called the old head hater. I get called, a Jordan stan, whatever. And all that is cool. But what happens is this. When I point to, well, such and such a player says LeBron is not the GOAT, such and such a player said LeBron is not the GOAT, I always get those are old head haters. Those are old people saying that. So I always find it interesting when I see a player from this generation or a younger player who says LeBron is not the GOAT. So first, last year, I think The Athletic did an anonymous survey of modern NBA basketball players, guys playing now. 58% of guys playing now said Michael Jordan is the greatest player of all time. So I don't know. That's the first thing. So really where I want to go with this is I found it so interesting. This was something that was talked about like last year, but it's recently resurfaced. So we got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, the number 2 scorer in the NBA and a legitimate MVP candidate for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And he had some very interesting remarks when he was asked about his top 5 all time. So let's check that out. Then we'll come back and we'll talk about it with Tony.
All-time starting 5, including me, would be Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Durant.
So why is that interesting? Like I just mentioned, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is playing now. He's a guy who is one of the better young players in the league, right? So it can't be said that he's an old head hater or he's one of the guys from the old generation that don't want to give LeBron his props. But if you notice, he didn't put LeBron James in his top 5 all time, despite everything LeBron has done. Why is that? So I'm going to kick it over to you, Tony. Give me your thoughts on why you think a lot of guys don't see LeBron the way the mainstream sports media wants us to see LeBron, and the way Clutch Sports wants us to see LeBron, and maybe the way LeBron wants us to see LeBron. What are your thoughts on that?
I can't speak why Shea did it. All I know is if you have Allen Iverson at your top five, something seriously wrong. You care more about highlights and substance and efficiency. Allen Iverson made it out of the first round only 3 times in his career. Every time after that, he also got bounced in the first round or didn't make the playoffs at all. He had an all-level talent. He also had an all-level talent, and Carmelo Anthony couldn't do anything without him, could never get out of the first round. They traded him for Billups, who obviously talent-wise is a much lesser player, but a more efficient player, understands system ball a whole lot better. They went from getting bounced in the first round to going to a conference finals. So we see that Allen Iverson and Detroit, on the other hand, they went from a conference finals to getting bounced in the first round when they traded for Iverson and traded for Billups. Allen Iverson was at prime. He shot 38% one year in his prime. He was constantly negative on the defensive rating. Everybody then points to, well, he led the league in steals. Yeah, he led the league in steals because he jumped the passing lanes 10 times a game and got 2.8 steals out of it. So 3 times a game, he would make the right play, and 7 times of the game, he would make the incorrect play. So I don't know why. If I had to guess, I would say flash and substance. When you got guys like Jordan, Kobe, Iverson over a LeBron's kind of rigid when he goes to the hoop. When he dribbles, there's a play in the 2012 playoffs when they beat the Sixers. No, it was whatever year they beat. No, I'm sorry, 2011 when they beat the Celtics.
Okay.
Not the Celtics, when they beat the Sixers first round 4-1. There's a play where LeBron bounces it back or it goes back and then makes the pass, but he falls over when he does. So to me, it's looking like Shea values fluid motion and movement over that. LeBron is not as pretty with the eye. Like Kobe has a nice looking jump shot. Jordan has a nice look. LeBron has an ugly looking jump. His elbow sticks out more, maybe because it's naturally he's left-handed that he writes with, but he plays the game right-handed for some reason. I don't know why that is. But those would be my guesses on why he's doing it, because there is no metric where you could say Allen Iverson is a better option than LeBron James. Even if you want to try to say those others are, and I could even understand the logic and the argument behind a Kevin Durant, a Shaq, a Kobe, a Jordan, but there is no argument for Iverson. So if you're picking Iverson over, then there is some sort of bias that you see that is not factually proven, and there is no reason why anybody would like Iverson over James in that regard.
I think that's a very interesting point, and I hadn't even thought about it that way. So to your point, I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense in terms of how influential Allen Iverson was, along with obviously Kobe and Mike, and so that makes a lot of sense in terms of the team that he would have put together. Me personally, if I'm picking my all-time 5, and obviously everybody's healthy, everybody's in their prime, that's pretty simple. That's, in my estimation, that's Magic, that's Mike, that's Larry Bird at the 3, that's either Tim Duncan or Karl Malone, that's a wash at the 4, and Olajuwon at the 5. And I don't think I can lose with that roster. Now, I'm sure somebody could put together a roster and say, okay, we can go at you, but I don't see losing with that team I put together. Now, back to the original topic of LeBron and why maybe a Shea Gilgeous didn't place him there, because this is interesting to me, because he's not the first of this generation not to put LeBron on the pedestal that so many people want him to be on. And I think a big part of it, one, you did mention, the fluidity of movement and all that, and also the aesthetics of the game. And LeBron, let's be real, for everything he's accomplished, he's not a pretty player, right? He has been a bull in a china shop for his entire career. And for a guy who's been in the league 21 years, it's amazing to me that it took 21 years for him to get even a semi-reliable jump shot. So that's something that's been missing. And the other part of the soundbite was, I think I read it recently, was that Shea Gilgeous was saying that his game never really impressed me. He said, when I was growing up, LeBron is 6'8", he's super athletic. I wasn't that. He was big. I wasn't that. So that's not something that he could have identified with in terms of looking for something to model his game after. So I totally get it, because what LeBron does, very few people can say, okay, I want to do that, or I want to do that, So I totally get it. I think the second part of it for me, and this is a big one, and I talked about this with Man Down Sports Podcast. Shout out Man Down Sports Podcast. Great show. Check it out if you get a chance. But I talked about this with them. I think, and I could be wrong, but I think that a lot of these guys see that LeBron cheated the game. And I know that's going to sound terrible or sound like a hater, but to me, he really did cheat the game in terms of not being willing to go through the fire like all the greats before him went through the fire to become a champion, and greasing the skids the way he did in order to make it easier at every turn to win. Because the fact is, this is a guy who, and this is irrefutable, he played with more all-star talent than any other player of his ilk in history. That's just what it is. And so when you've done everything you could just to make it easier and grease those skids, to me, I don't know if a lot of guys respect that from the competitive standpoint. Again, I'm obviously not in the NBA. I don't know how competitive the modern NBA is, and that's something I complain about a lot. It looks like guys are too friendly and not willing to really go at each other, but it could be that. So, yeah, I think that's just so interesting that he didn't put him there. Now, another example, Steph Curry, this was a couple of years ago. They asked him who his all-time top 5 was, and it was actually remarkably similar to mine. It was Magic, Mike, I think it was Bird, Magic, Mike, Bird, Tim Duncan, and Shaq, which I thought that's another really good top 5. But again, he doesn't name LeBron. And now that could be because those guys are rivals. They're concurrently playing and they are rivals. What are your thoughts on Steph Curry not having Shaq in his all-time top 5?
Well, so I have a couple different points, and I wanted to address a few things, then I'll get right into that. First off, I was reading the comments. It was an all-time starting 5, not a top 5, and he put Iverson at point guard. There's no room for LeBron. That's what Man Down Sports said. Well, a couple different things on that. Is one, Iverson predominantly played at shooting guard, not the point guard. Secondly, he has Kobe and Mike on the same teams. Both of them predominantly were the shooting guard, not a small forward. And finally, Kevin Durant is predominantly a small forward, not a power forward, which he would have to slide over. So obviously, if we're going based on that, it had nothing to do with position, because you have possibly 4 out of the 5 guys playing out of position.
Out of position.
Right. So that has nothing to do with it, because, he didn't pick, generally speaking, one person is going to get to play the traditional position at that. As far as that, I don't think people also factor in Shaq, how much all-star talent he played with. Just that, and we don't even have to go. We got Penny, we got Horace Grant, we have Kobe, we have Nick Van Exel, we have Eldon Campbell, we have Eddie Jones, we have Dennis Rodman, we have Glenn Rice, we have Mitch Richmond, we have Karl Malone, we have Gary Payton, we have Dwayne Wade, we have Steve Smith, we have Alonzo Mourning, we have Antoine Walker, we have Steve Nash, we have Grant Hill, we have Amari Stoudemire, we have where we go? We have Zdrunas Ilgauskas, we have Antoine Jameson, we have LeBron James, we have Rajon Rondo, Jermaine O'Neal, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and nobody played with more MVPs than Shaq. So when we go with that, we don't ever knock Shaq. And I haven't even named all the players that weren't even good enough, but still all great talents, like a Darrell Armstrong, 6th man of the year, Nick Anderson, who could average.
Let me interrupt you real quick on that, though. I think what we're talking about is, and those are all great points that you were able to run down, is that my issue is when it comes to Shaq, in terms of all those greats that he played with, either those guys were well out of their prime or he was well out of his prime. When he was in his prime, there wasn't a whole lot of top tier talent like that. So I think that might be the sticking point or the argument. LeBron, he tried to load up everywhere he's been pretty much throughout his entire career, but carry on.
But anyways, but as far as the top 5 and all that, you have to go with, when people are picking their top 5, it's really about a peak. It's about a 1-year thing, because when we're picking all these guys, we're not picking them for their career. We're picking them at the peak. For example, if you pick Jordan as your number 1 pick, right? And Jordan walked out with a cursive Chicago jersey and some hair, you'd be like, no, this isn't the Jordan I want.
Right.
I want bald-headed Jordan, you know what I mean? With a bland Bulls textile on there. So
1993.
So when you say, if I pick Larry Bird, 1 year, peak Larry Bird, I think LeBron is the great. There's a difference between greatest and best too, and we have to break that down. So best is your 1 year peak, and greatest is the totality of your career. So that's why greatness translates with like guys from the 50s, 60s, things like that. Wilt Chamberlain is still a 4-time MVP. Yeah. Now if you're saying he's competent, that's what he was able to accomplish. So I think that's where that comes into play. So if you want to say, I'll take Bird's peak year over LeBron's peak year, that's a serious argument, and I understand why you would say that. But the thing is LeBron was clearly better, from 18 to 24, no matter what way you want to slice it. Then Bird was better from 24 to 30 or whatever that may be. and I'm just making up these numbers. And then LeBron is clearly better from 30 to 40. So he's better for 16 out of 22 years versus Bird. So I think that's what Steph Curry's looking at. These are the guys with their peak. Like, I'll give you an example.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tracy McGrady's best season is better than Kobe's best season. You look at Tracy McGrady's 03 season, what he was able to do, and as the focal point of the defense trying to stop him, I think that is a better season. He was 32, 7, 6, higher percentages everywhere than Kobe, except in the free throw line. So yes, so I think that's where Steph Curry broke it down. I will take Bird's 85, 86, 84 season over anything LeBron. And then not only that, I think he provides all the passing that LeBron, plus Bird plays a game from shoulders up. He doesn't have the physical, but I mean, he's taller than everybody, but he's not a jumper. He's not speed. He played that from a cerebral thing. And especially since Golden State, they did that death lineup where they really moved the ball side to side. I could see why he would like that, because Bird is a better combination of ball movement and shooting. And that's what Steph Curry succeeded with. So that's why I think Steph Curry, I think it just thinks that this will match up with my teams well and how I want my team to play.
Yeah, that's pretty good stuff in terms of on the floor. I was also looking at it from the perspective of Steph Curry growing up in the league and having been around those guys in his formative basketball years. I'm sure that was probably that probably plays a role in how he sees the game and how he sees those guys. A Shea Gilgeous wouldn't have had the opportunity to have been around that and to see that, right? And so, I'm sure that Steph was in the arena watching when Bird was, shooting before games, or, I'm sure he's got a ton of autographs and all that good stuff. But, all that stuff is influential on him as a young player. So, there's that. Also, Man Down Sports has a great comment here, and this is something I often talk about. Bird also rebounded and passed better than LeBron. And people are going to say, well, LeBron has higher assist totals for his career. He absolutely does. One, he played a lot longer. Two, he's had the ball in his hands a lot more. Larry Bird played with a Hall of Fame point guard. He was not the primary initiator of offense, and yet he's only about 1 assist per game for his career behind LeBron. Also, he's a 10 rebound per game guy in a much more physical era on the arguably greatest front court of all time without LeBron's physical tools. So for me, there's not really much excuse why Bird should have been a better career rebounder than LeBron, but it is what it is. I guess they're going to say, well, the NBA is so much more efficient now. Guys aren't missing shots the way they used to. But no, I definitely like that comment. Shouts Mel, appreciate that. Bird did rebound and pass better than LeBron. But yeah, back to it. I just find it so interesting that for how hard these guys, the mainstream sports media and Clutch Sports and LeBron and LeBron and his fans and all that push to make us try and believe something, even the players from his era don't see it. And I think that's so interesting because, again, let's go back to the fact that just last year, 58% of the NBA, the active NBA, called Michael Jordan the greatest of all time. There has to be something behind that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think, it could be there. I don't necessarily trust player judgment anyway. And I brought this up with you before as well. Like Kawhi, he pushed for the Clippers to get rid of Shea so he could have Paul George. Who would be better right now? Because you didn't win anything with Paul George. So who would you rather have, Paul George or SGA? I'd rather have SGA 11 out of 10 times right now. But that's how we saw Michael Jordan, how he ran his team. Couldn't run it. We saw Magic, one of the greatest players ever, when he was a coach. He was 3-9 as a coach. So we see a lot of these great players. They have no idea to really how to assess talent. They base it all off their own, because when you are one of the greatest, your ego is much bigger. And it's like, well, I know more. Look at me. Look what I've become. And I understand why it's like that. So I don't think necessarily players have a great assessment of talent. And we see the players that really do succeed. Generally speaking, they're like a bench guy like a Steve Kerr. Look at the greatest coaches. Greg Popovich, not good enough to make the league. Right. Red Auerbach, not good enough to make the league. Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, bench players. So that's what I'm saying. So I don't necessarily trust that. I think, though, too, these players, they grew up wearing Jordans. They grew up hearing stories about Jordan is at LeBron. LeBron's not at legend status. You watch LeBron play and all that. But Jordan, especially for players now, it's legend status. These players didn't see him play. Everything is a clip, a highlight, things like that. I don't think they go back and watch the full games and all that. And by the way, I have Jordan over LeBron, but I do understand the argument for LeBron being the greatest. If he is committing all these statistics, well, I'm saying if he is, there is an argument for it. You know what I mean? He's doing things that nobody's ever done before. The numbers back it up. I have a rotation of 5 people. I think there's 5 people that you could say is the GOAT, and I'll accept any one of the answers because I understand the logic behind it. Because everything is too subjective to have a definitive answer. There is no backup number that says this person is definitively number 1 over someone else. Like, we'll use anything with Jordan. Any argument you come up with Jordan, you can come up with a counter argument for certain people like that. It's about what you think, what you believe, what you value. Not everybody values what you value. What makes that the greatest? That's why the greatest. Now, best is a different argument. We could start arguing with best is a different thing, but best and greatest is subjective. Best is more like, what the numbers back up and things like that. So I think the players, like I said, they see the fluidity of the movement of Jordan over LeBron more, and they like that more. They've heard about people they trust, their coaches, say Jordan, like you said, you're the old head of arguing it. Well, they were coached by people like that. Their dads told them like that, their brothers, their uncles, their, whoever. So I think that's also been in that. So I think they see the fluidity of the movement. They see that Jordan has more awards, did more and less and things like that. These are the reasons why I have Jordan over LeBron. So he's accomplished more in less time, except for overall totality of numbers. He has more awards, more defensive player, more titles, more things like that. So I think that is why players value Jordan over LeBron.
Fair enough. So, all right, we'll leave it there for this particular topic. That was pretty good. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and give you an opportunity to call the show at 904-219-8264. If you want to call in and give your thoughts on that, you can do that while we go ahead and move to the next topic. So, the second topic I wanted to discuss today is that we heard that recently, I think it was in the last week or so, Joe Dumars, who works in the NBA office, the front office now, has put out that the NBA is looking to consider possibly changing the rules to, well, what was the verbiage? They want to, we're looking at it like they want to curb some of this obscene scoring, but I think they said they want to make sure that they create some balance. So, they want to make it sound good. But this is interesting because we've been seeing all the changes that have been taking place since okay, I got a call here. So let's hold up. Let's get back to that, and we'll go ahead and take this call. Hello.
I wanted to make a comment on the starting 5 thing.
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on, Mel?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Doing all right, man. Thank you for calling in. What you got?
Yeah, good. So, I did leave a comment on that, but I wanted to kind of clarify. It's different between the top 5 and the starting 5. So when people are asked about this starting 5 thing, they're not thinking about who the top 5 greatest are. They're thinking about how can I create a team that their mind automatically goes to how can I create a team that's going to work, right? And when you put LeBron James on a team, there's particularly one way it works, and it's surrounding him with shooters and running high screen and roll. And a lot of players like Steph Curry, SGA, they don't value running a high screen roll offense. Those are the things that James Harden, Westbrook, Luka, and LeBron has made their baby. But when guys are studying Kobe, Mike, and stuff like that, and running a sophisticated offense like what they do in Golden State or other places, they don't value that high screen roll system. That's why they leave LeBron out a lot, because they're thinking about how can I create a team that's going to work. And having LeBron in there is not a good idea. I don't think it has anything to do with how good they think LeBron is. I think it has a lot to do with they don't prefer their play style.
Right. So when you say that, you're looking towards how everybody has to completely change what they do to comply with what's going to make him successful when they play with him. Am I understanding that correctly?
I mean, yeah, a little bit that too, but that's a true statement, but that's not exactly what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, if LeBron doesn't have the ball, where is his best value going to be at?
Right. What's he going to do?
When you look at the team that he put together, Kobe and Mike has played off the ball most of their career in a triangle. Of course, Shaq is a post player, going to dominate the ball unless you throw it to him in the post. Kevin Durant has played off the ball a lot and can play off the ball with catch and shoot and all that stuff, right? And then you got Iverson who's been ball two guard who's took a lot of shots, but at Georgetown and his first couple of years in Philly, he could play point guard and take a step back, you know. So Shea Gilgeous was building a thing based on his players and based on how he wanted the offense to look in his mind. And I automatically understood that when they're picking that. That's why they're leaving LeBron out. Steph Curry did it. Anthony Edwards did it. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander did it. There are a lot of people who leave LeBron out of their starting five.
Okay. Yeah. When I get asked that question, for me, it's obviously I look at the guys who I think are, you know, the best players, but I also look at putting together a team that is functional, that could actually play and win a game. And that's why I laid it out the way I did. So, but I hear you on that. Tony, you got it? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm waiting.
No, Tony, you got it. You got anything from Mel on that?
So based off what he said is, you know, playing off the ball. What about Allen Iverson says he plays off the ball? He's not a good shooter. He doesn't play defense. He is a bad defender. That's why he's got steal titles, but no all defensive teams. As far as that taking a step back, he came in the league shooting 19.8 a game his rookie season. He led the league. He led the team by far, playing point guard. He's always had the ball in his hand. That is not a mesh at all. You have a weak defender and a bad shooter. What good is he going to? He needs to have the ball, dribble and penetrate, and then he misses 3 out of 5. He does all that. He shoots 27 times to shoot 40%. And like I said, then you have a small player at that. So, I mean, like, for example, I'll put it this way. If somebody had Allen Iverson, I would get Sam Cassell, and I would have Sam Cassell post him up because Sam Cassell is the best point guard I've ever seen on the block by far. And there's nothing Iverson could do. And we saw that, and that's why it went 7 with the Bucks, because Iverson couldn't stop him. They'd switch Snow, and they couldn't switch with Snow because Snow had to D up Ray Allen. So at one point or the other. So yeah, so I don't even see how it's a good fit if that's the argument, because Allen Iverson completely throws that off.
Yeah, and yet everything you said, and yet Iverson be a better fit with this team than LeBron. Like, what would LeBron go at point guard? You would put LeBron at point guard? Like, they have a better score for in KD. They have the better score and better defender with Jordan. He's not gonna play center. Shaq's the better center, right? So you're gonna put LeBron at point guard, and then where's LeBron's value as a player? His value is pick and roll, get downhill, and get to the rim. How do you want to when you got Shaq clogging the paint up, and you got the best 2 scorers we've ever seen in Michael and Kobe? Why the hell would I have someone that has to have a high sprint and roll run for him to get downhill in a wide open paint with 5 people standing at the 3-point line?
That's what I was going to say. We know we can't play with a big like that.
Yeah. I've seen LeBron James operate in any other way other than having his big man outside of the paint. How you gonna you can't have Shaq and LeBron on the same squad. They tried it before, and Shaq lasted 1 season, and he had to get up out of there. You just can't do it. So all the flaws you mentioned, if you want to nitpick at Oscar's game, you have to go and nitpick at Kobe at LeBron's game, and see how all of that doesn't fit.
Well, so to answer your question, what I would do with LeBron, for example, is I'd run him off back screens and just go lobs. I can't do that with Iverson. The only thing that you can run with Iverson is ISO.
Hold on, but why would you do that if your main scoring options is going to be Kobe, Jordan, and Shaq? These are better scoring options, and then KD. You have 4 better scoring. You have 4 better scoring options than LeBron on the floor. So I don't need LeBron. I don't need LeBron's offense whatsoever. I don't need his facilitating whatsoever. I don't need LeBron at all with his lineup. I have everything I need.
What do you need with Iverson with that lineup? He's not going to play D. You can't run it up. He is literally the 5th best option on offense.
All you need for him is to bring the ball up and run the offense. He don't have to score. You don't need none of that from him. So
then if that's the case,
have that.
Well, wait a minute. If that's the case, why not get a Steve Nash or a Jason Kidd? A more distributor, a Rondo even. Somebody that's a better distributor, a better defender. You have a black gaping hole with Iverson at defense.
You have to ask SGA that. I'm trying to relay his message on why he and explain.
And that's
why
what I'm saying. So if you could relay the, I'm going to have the bad defense, the isolation player that would literally be the fifth option. LeBron brings more. I'll put it this way: somebody's going to pick Magic in that all time, right? I'd rather have LeBron D'ing up Magic than Iverson. A peak LeBron, he can at least bring something on the defensive end. But I'll put it this way: that 04 Olympics team, that 04 Olympic, that was led by Iverson. That's why they got the bronze.
Hey, go ahead, Mel. What were you saying?
No, I'm listening to Tony.
No, I was just saying that the Iverson-led team is, that's why they got the bronze. LeBron blends in better with talent than Iverson does. That's why it didn't work with Melo. That's why it didn't work with Weber. That's why Stackhouse had to get out of town.
I think LeBron and Iverson both are bad blends with talent, to be honest with you. But the size difference, it'll make LeBron, probably a more sexier pick. But LeBron does not fit with this team. I can do something with Iverson on this team because I'm not asking him to do much. I'm just asking him to play now. No one asked him to play this different game this way in his career, and when they did in Detroit, he quit. He retired. But I'm just saying with this lineup, I have no place and no room for LeBron James. There's no room. Like, I'm not putting him at point guard. I'm just not. I just don't want him there.
And I'm saying
I'd rather have Iverson shooting open jump shots if he get them than LeBron coming up and doing what LeBron doing and wanting to run high screen roll. It's just not a fit for me. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Now, if you want to put LeBron in your starting five, then the better options for your team would not be a Shaq. You would have to prefer someone like Ilgauskas, Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, Davis, someone who's going to shoot jump shots and threes and open the lane up for him. Like, I'm telling you, as soon as you put LeBron in there, it throws the team off. You can't have a big man in the paint. You can't have a dominant scorer that don't need his facilitation. And Kobe and Mike don't need facilitation from no one. And neither does Kevin Durant. So what is the purpose of it? Like, I'm still asking the question. What's the purpose of LeBron if you're not using his facilitation and if you're not using a five-man-out system with a wide open lane?
Okay, so I guess the purpose is with LeBron, you have the only 6'8", 270 player that can get nose level with the rim, and that is a defensive force at his prime.
But you don't need that. I'd rather have 6'7" Penny Hardaway.
Then take him. I don't care who you want to take over. What I'm saying is LeBron is a better pick for this team than Iverson. That's my only argument.
No, he's not. LeBron doesn't fit on this team. You have to have a five-man out system for LeBron.
Yeah, I got to agree with that, Tony. I mean, and we have 21 years of watching it that proves that that's the case.
Prove to me where Iverson fits on this team. You have a terrible efficient shooter that's not a shooter, that's not going to have the ball. Shaq is a better option. Durant is a better option. Jordan's a better option. Kobe's a better option. Why would you go to Iverson at all?
But that's the point, though.
He's not shooting. He has Kobe and Mike and Kevin Durant shooting and Shaq.
Okay. So here's my question.
Iverson's not shooting.
So that's my question. Shooting. That's my question. Iverson.
You say Iverson in the All-Star game play with that talent. Look at Iverson play with that talent. That's what he would play like.
But no. Iverson played like that.
He's not shooting. He's playing point guard.
Okay.
He's Iverson guard that can get up the court. That's all it is.
Okay, so Iverson.
Hey, you lost this one. I take my comments off the air. But you lost this one, Tony.
Appreciate the call.
Hold on. So Iverson's not shooting. We saw him in the All-Star games, right? Iverson's first All-Star game, 18 attempts. His second All-Star game, 21 attempts. His fourth All-Star game, 23 attempts. So you saw him play like that, and he still shot it, and nobody played any D. And that's what I'm saying. And it's not even a debate whether I lost or won. What I'm saying is there's no way that you could say Iverson is a better fit for this team than LeBron. LeBron's more willing to take a back seat with shooting than Iverson. LeBron is a more efficient player than Iverson. LeBron's a better defender than Iverson.
So while all of that may be true, the fact that what Mel was saying at the end of the day is that with the other players that you have on this team that Shai Gilgeous named, LeBron doesn't fit. So I think where Mel was going very simply is that even though you make a lot of sense with what you're saying about Allen Iverson, at the end of the day, he is a better fit, maybe not perfect, but a better fit for this lineup that Shai Gilgeous made than LeBron James is. That's what we're saying.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't see that. I don't see Iverson being a better fit. That's what I'm saying.
All right, that's fair. We'll
Yeah.
agree to disagree on this one. That
Gotcha.
was a nice little heated discussion. That's all
Mhm.
good. But what we're gonna do is okay, we got another 904-219-8264. Looks like we got somebody else that wants to call in. So we'll hold up a second and wait for that, and then we'll go to the next topic, which that should be an interesting one.